This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1101 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by EquestrianCollections.com. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Horsemanship Radio Show. Show host Debbie Laux is joined by Lee and Hallie Hansen to chat about the training challenges and techniques for barrel horses. And we'll get right to our tip after this shopping tip from EquestrianCollections.com. Coach Jen here, and as usual, I'm here with Debbie from EquestrianCollections.com, and she's got the EquestrianCollections.com product of the week. What you got going, Debbie?
Hi, Jen. This week and next week, I'm going to be featuring some items that you can get now for your Memorial Day and your 4th of July parades and outings. The product I'm featuring this week is the Roper American Flag Western shirts. We have them in women's, ladies size, and that's the long sleeve. We have a men's short sleeve, and we also have a boys size, and that's long sleeved. What these are is American flag design, and they had these last year, and they sold out of them in no time. So I'm telling you, that's why another reason I want to feature them early in the season, because if you're even thinking about these, go ahead and order them right away. They do not stay in stock long. And they come in a lot of different sizes, and they're more than perfect for your 4th of July stuff, but also your Memorial Day stuff. So that's why I want to tell you guys to look on our website, www.equestriancollections.com. Put in the search engine Roper American Flag Western shirt, and all three styles will come up. They're 100% cotton. They are red, white, and blue. They are definitely American flag.
They are awesome looking. The ladies is a button down, and the boys is a button down, and then the men's is a polo style. And I'll tell you, we were at the Road to the Horse a few weeks back, Debbie, and we saw lots of these. They are very popular.
Yes, they are.
Get on it, folks. Thanks a lot, Debbie.
Yes.
What are some of the training challenges that you commonly need to work through, in barrel racing?
Some of those challenges I would think would be horses that really get into the bit for me personally. Like Lee had mentioned, everyone kind of has their own style. But for me, like a horse that really wants to lean on the bit and drop on the front end, they lose all their driving power from their hindquarters. Mm-hmm. So I like a horse to be really soft in the face and drive with the hind end instead of, floating it around a barrel.
Yeah.
So I find that as a challenge because some people don't realize how to get a horse really soft in the face, and it can lead to a lot of problems later on, or they just don't really understand that horse could be leaning on the bit just a little bit, and then it creates more of a problem later on when you add the speed to them.
Mm-hmm. And do you work from your legs for that? How do you get them off the bit then? Do you have any secrets?
Legs. I would say I use legs to drive their hind end up into the bit. So I'm trying to drive their hindquarters up. I think of it as being an accordion. So when a horse is an accordion will go out and come in, and I want that horse to come in together. It's hind end driving from behind. So I'm using my legs to drive that hind end up into its face.
Yeah, that makes good sense. So barrel racing is one of those, I think it may be the only sport where a horse is encouraged to run out of the arena at top speed, right? That confuses me as to how you get the horse to go back in the arena. So how do you save that adrenaline for competitions, or do you have a way to bring down that adrenaline in a regular training session? How do you keep a horse kind of even?
I would say one thing that you do is a horse only has so many runs in them. So a lot of runs in the practice pen is not something that I encourage because it gets horses hot and, you want them to love their job, So if you train them to love their job and not go in there and work their heart out every time, a horse is going to do what they can for you, I find.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Lee,
watched.
Do you have anything?
Oh, Lee. Yeah, please.
I think too, what I see a ton is similar to what Hallie said, but also different. Like, I think people just expect, and she alluded on it, and not only when you're running your horse in the practice pen, but we'll go to, and we ride the younger horses in the futurities, so they're only 4 and 5. It's their first year competition, and we might go to 15 or 20 futurities throughout the year, and they're all different formats. And some you just need to make it back to the short go, some you need to ride for the average, but sometimes you see these people that just call on their horse for 110% of everything that beats through their veins every time they run them down the alley, and it's just no fun. And I think that's one of the things that I so respect about Hallie and why she's been so successful year after year, is that she's just not willing to jeopardize the future of the horse, and everyone in the industry knows it. And Hallie may not ride as hard aggressively as all of these, some of these other futurity trainers. But her horses always end up on top because she lets them perform when they're ready to. Like she said, a happy horse will do their best for you. And I think you see that come out of Hallie's program because she doesn't call on them for everything they have every time she runs them down the alley.
I'm really glad to hear that. I know a lot of people.
It's not just in the practice pen, it's in the pen too.
Yeah. Very good. And I hardly saw, I don't know if I saw you guys pick up a crop once in all the videos that I watched and the performances I watched. What's your philosophy on that? Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever trained? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking on that philosophy. Sometimes I think like a horse, in order to get them to run, you don't necessarily have to whip them to go, but it's all on body weight and just like letting that horse come on as they can. The first couple months of training or competition, they might not be there right in there, but if you force that out of them, they're not as eager to do it the next time. So I try to kind of encourage them, but not take all the heart out of them either.
Mm-hmm.
I would also add to that, I think if you watch enough people run down the alley with a whip in their hand, I think a lot of times it's just really distracting for that person and the horse. Like they're just not, like their timing's really off and they're way too worried about whipping, and then they're out of balance, or they let the horse be out of position, and you kind of watch it and you'd be like, gosh, you would have been a half second faster if you just put that whip down.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense to me too. And the horse thinks backwards, I think, when something's happening back behind him rather than forward, which is where you want their brains. Yeah. I watched in Brazil, the training with 4 barrels. Have you ever trained with 4 barrels? I'm training now, not competing.
I have not. I do know some other trainers that, have exercises or drills with 4 barrels. For me, I keep it the same pattern every time for the horse. So I don't use 4 barrels, but I have seen other people do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Lee, have you seen people use that before?
Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to train and a lot of different ways to win. But if you think about the way that we do it and Hallie's philosophy on it and my philosophy on it, I think these horses are young enough and trying to figure it out. And the more solid you can make them by just doing the same thing every single time, I think the better they end up on the long run. Again, I'm not discrediting any drills. I'm not discrediting anything that other people do. It's just what works for us. And if you just logically peel that back apart, it makes the most sense, because our horses are never running down the alley thinking, oh, they're going to be 4 barrels here this time. Am I going to be going all left this time? I mean, they know that when Hallie runs down the alleyway, they're going to go right, left, or left, right every single time.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guest at horsetipdaily.com. And don't forget, you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go by downloading the free Horse Radio Network app for your iPhone or Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network, or you can subscribe via iTunes. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of EquestrianCollections.com and listeners like you. Learn how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.